So what would you say to people? What's the bottom line? Just go out and do it.
Go out and do it. I find it much more rewarding to be frustrated when trying to get somewhere than frustrated that I didn't try.
Yeah. Hey guys, it's Sam with the Blind Spots. I am back with Dave Wilkinson. Our tables are right next to each other, so we've been talking a lot over the last 2 days. And I wanted to just talk with Dave. He's an amazing guy.
I don't know about that, but we'll lower the bar as this goes on.
Dave is a representative for HIMSS. Watch the videos I made with Dave showing off some of the devices that they have. They have the eBot. I've done a review of that, and these other devices here. So you travel around selling these things, right?
Right. My territory is pretty much North America, so that I'm in anywhere in the U.S. and Canada at any given point. I don't do as much other international travel, although I'm trying to badger my way into it at this point. Although I'm planning on running the Beirut Marathon next November, but that's a whole different story.
Okay, and we're going to talk about that. So let's put into context here. Dave is visually impaired. How much vision do you have?
I can see if a light is on or off, and if I see something in front of me, the chances are pretty good I'm about to hit it.
Yeah. So light perception with a little more than that, right?
Right. I can see blobs, and okay. I'm pretty much guessing what the blobs are at any given point.
All right. So, and I've made videos about this before, about travel, and we were just talking about he's going to be in town for 2 or 3 more days, and then he's heading to
Boston and Toronto.
Boston and Toronto, and then after that you said you were going...
after that I'm in, somewhere in Texas, and then I'm in Salt Lake, and then Vancouver.
So all over the place, and you travel alone, right?
Right.
So was that difficult when you first started out? Were you intimidated by the daunting idea of traveling the world?
Honestly, not really. And part of the reason why my parents met in Japan, and so when my dad was in Japan as part of the Air Force, and my mom was there as a teacher on an American Air Base. When they had kids, part of what they told us is go see things, get out, do things. Okay. And the expectations for me were about the same as my sighted siblings. I've always been a history buff. I want to see things. I want to experience them. There are parts of travel that are scary as all get out. Mm-hmm. I build in time to my schedule to get lost. Because I just assume that it's going to happen.
And you plan ahead, I'm sure. Find out,
You plan ahead.
Where your gate is and all that kind of stuff. And I imagine you're probably not afraid to ask for help, right?
No, you got to ask for help.
Yeah.
And I think one of the harder things for me to learn when I was younger, you go through this whole phase where if the visual people can do it, I can do it. They're not asking for help. I'm not going to ask for help. We're going to all fight through this together, and it's going to be ugly and mean and nasty. And then when I discovered is a lot of the visual people are asking for help. They don't know where they are either.
Yeah.
And so the other thing I discovered as years went on is that I look a lot more. It's a much more seamless experience if I just admit this is something I can't do. I'm never going to see the sign B3 above gate B3. So suck it up and deal.
Yeah.
And ask someone for B3. Mm-hmm. And if you're really confused, and if you're somewhere you really don't know where you are, pay a SkyCap. $5-10 will get you anywhere. It's amazing.
That's a good tip.
Yeah,
Well, I've made videos. I've talked about travel before, and I've talked about how it's just so much easier if you just, when I get my ticket, I say, okay, I'm visually impaired. I admit it. I don't need to fake it for some reason.
No, absolutely.
I say, I'm visually impaired. Can you help me find my gate, or can someone help me find my gate?
Right.
And very often they'll be like, yeah, hold on, this gentleman can take you. And I've gone right through security. I've gotten to skip lines. Yep. I've even gotten to get on the little cart, golf cart, and beep, 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 beep all the way through the terminal.
That's right.
Once when I was changing planes, on the plane I told the flight attendant that I'm going to need help finding my next gate. Will somebody be available to help me? And they took me off the plane, put me onto a bus out on the tarmac, drove me to the terminal that we needed to go to on the tarmac with all the planes everywhere. It was awesome. And then I walked up the stairs and I was right there at my terminal, or
Yeah.
my gate. It was awesome. So
Yeah.
there's a benefit to just, it's easier, it's faster.
Well, and here's the thing, and the other part that used to worry me is like, you're cutting security lines. Well, no one else is cutting security lines.
Yeah.
Am I taking advantage of the fact that I have a disability? Well, maybe, but here's the other part of that. If you're with someone who's offering you assistance, they've got other things to do. By cutting security lines, you're benefiting them as well as you're benefiting you. You're letting them get back to their other part of their job, and you're making their life easier as well as yours.
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, time is valuable, and their time is not well spent standing for 22 minutes in the security line.
Good point. Now we'll talk about home life. You are married, you said.
Right.
And you were saying your wife is visually impaired as well?
Right. Yeah, we're a double blind household.
Okay. Any kids?
We have a 17-year-old
Oh, wow.
who's visual. So
Son, daughter?
son.
So how is it with two visually impaired parents running a household, two adults running a household that can't see very well?
I think that the first thing that we decided a long time ago is that you don't want to take advantage of the vision of your kid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are times that it's nice and convenient or whatever, but you don't want to have any
rely on it.
Yeah, well, and you don't want your kid to grow up thinking that you're dependent upon them being able to do A, B, or C.
Right.
So a lot of what we did, and this goes back to more when he was growing up, and I guess before we lived here, where you can just have groceries brought to your door, which is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know, I can. When we were figuring out chores for, allowance and stuff, because kids like to be paid. His main chore was go to the grocery store with Dave on Sunday night, and for that he was rewarded handsomely.
Yeah.
But that was just part of what we did. I can do dishes, take out trash, all that kind of good stuff. That's wonderful. I can't read the price on bananas.
Right.
And we would allocate about an hour and a half every Sunday evening, and we would just go grocery shopping a couple blocks away, and that was his main chore growing up. Now the rest of the time, the vision wasn't. I viewed that as a fair trade. And it also benefited him directly, because if we didn't go to the grocery store, he didn't eat.
Yeah.
And he viewed eating as a very good idea.
And that way he could also pick out some of the things that he wanted instead of just...
Oh my God, and you're a sucker. You get a little kid that was like, oh, can we get whatever? Oh, sure, don't tell mom.
Oh, trust me. I've got an 11-year-old daughter who she and I can't go shopping together because it's just junk food city.
Oh, it's awesome. And you have secrets that you just like any other dad that you keep from mom.
Right.
Yeah, sure. Just
Right.
don't tell mom.
Yeah, secret stash.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And then we talked about, you were telling me about mowing your lawn.
Yeah. People always like the mowing the lawn thing. My yard in Louisville is very small, so it's easier. And my yard before I moved here was bigger and was a little bit more complicated. The back, and first things first, the front yard, I get a neighbor to help touch up. I bribe the neighbor to do it. They wouldn't view it as a bribe, but
Right.
Whatever. I keep them happy,
Yeah.
because the front that people are going to see as they pass by, and I want it to look as
Nice
at least as
possible.
decently as the rest of the block.
Right.
Now, what I've discovered
You
over
don't-
time is that some of the rest of the block doesn't look so good, so that the bar is not as high as I thought it was.
You're not the eyesore. Other people
Yeah,
are.
exactly.
Right.
The back is mine. It's fenced off. You're only going to see it if I like you anyway. So you don't have to be 100%, perfect.
Right.
That being said, it's obviously what we strive for.
But you said you have a system because it's laid
Yeah.
out in a certain way.
Yeah, I mean, I have a brick path that goes in the middle of my yard that goes to the garage. And so I divide the yard up into halves, and then from halves almost into quadrants.
Right.
And you're trying to mow, like little straight lines from the brick path over to the fence, back to the brick path.
Right.
And I wear, and this safety goes out the window here. I'll wear sandals or shoes that are easy to kick off. And if you want to see if you just got that little spot, you kick your shoe off. You look at it with your foot. You missed a spot, you go back, you get it with the lawnmower.
Yeah.
I'm picky about the lawnmower that I use. I use battery-operated lawnmowers because they're quieter. I'm not losing another sense when I'm mowing the lawn.
Oh.
And I don't use an electric because it's too easy to run over the cord.
Yeah.
So at this point in my life, it's only battery.
Yeah. That's a good tip also.
I tried a little hand mower at one point, and they're too much friggin' work. The whole manual things or whatever.
Yeah. But then you said that you're not, if you miss a spot, you're not so concerned about it. And
my kid's gonna let me know if I missed a spot. Or someone's gonna, and I'll go back and I'll get it. And it's a battery operated lawnmower. You just wheel it out and you get the thing.
Yeah. But you were saying, don't stress about it. It's not not the end of the world.
It's not the end. We assume that the rest of the world is perfect, and we assume that they look great. They have wonderful yards. That, whatever. And it's the rest of the world is much more average than we think it is. It's a much more slovenly existence than we're led to believe.
Right.
Which is a little bit of a relief to know that you don't have to. You always want to strive for perfection, but if you don't hit it, there's a reason you're striving for it. If it was easy to hit, then it wouldn't be a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So no, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. So if you miss a spot, if you do run over the cord, and which I've done, I've cut through so many cable cords in my yard, and you got to wait for the cable guy to come back out.
Yeah.
Just because I didn't see it and I ran over it. But
yeah.
Now, one more thing before we go, I wanted to touch on. I overheard you were talking about you like to run, and you were talking about the Sears Tower.
Oh yeah.
So tell us about that.
I'm usually a long distance runner. I'm a much better long distance runner, and I've done the Louisville marathon the last couple of years, and I did Indy last year, and
I did the mini in Indy
a
couple years ago, but I'm not a runner at all. I hate it.
I'm not a big. When I was in high school and college, I hated running. I discovered that long distances are better because I suck. I'm really kind of slow, and so you wait for other people to fall out, and then you look pretty good.
The tortoise and the hare.
And yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But the Sears Tower thing, which is now I guess the Willis Tower, before someone sends you a cranky email saying we have the wrong friggin' name, it's the Sears Tower.
It's the Sears. It'll always be the Sears Tower.
Right.
I agree. Go ahead.
This was a fun race. I got talked into it by a vision teacher in Florida that I'd done some work with. Who neglected to tell me ahead of time that she's ranked number 25 in the world in stair climbing races. But it literally, you start at the bottom and you run up. It's 2,109 steps, 103 floors, and you just go. And it was a really interesting race from a blind person. I thought incorrectly that there wouldn't be a whole lot of guiding involved. You take the rail, you follow the stairs, whatever. But in between floors, there's spaces between the rails. You're going through little doors and little nooks and crannies that you hadn't counted on. And the other thing I hadn't really taken into consideration was passing. I assumed incorrectly that I would be able to see if someone was in front of me because I can see if someone's blocking the light.
Yeah.
Well, the light wasn't very good.
Right.
So I ended up really utilizing my guide a bit more than I thought I would, but it was pretty cool. I had this lady was behind me and her husband was in front of me, and we had this sort of it was almost like on a football team. You have your blockers and you're just sort of zooming right through.
Did you take anybody out? Go on, I mean.
Did not take anyone out. I have taken someone out in road races before, and I've also been taken out in road races before, but the Sears Tower, we managed to avoid anyone suffering a horrible death.
That's awesome. So you run up, you run over, across, and then back down the other side. Is that right?
You actually don't run down. You just go up. They put you on the elevator to go down. So it's all up.
They're like, you've suffered enough. We'll let you ride down the elevator.
That's right. The elevator down is the scarier part of it because it's wobbling back and forth.
Yeah.
And you're like, what if this stops in the middle of between floor 55 and 56? How are they ever going to get up here? The race is done for the Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago, which has a lot of people who have suffered spinal cord injuries and other mobility impairments, and some of these folks are trying to climb this thing, and it'll take. There was one guy there that I'd met ahead of time, and it took him, over an hour to get up the tower, but he made it. It was just kind of amazing. This guy has use of one hand, and it has serious mobility issues, and it's like, and I'm then doing the same thing that everyone does to me. It was like, oh, that's amazing. No, it's not. He made it up the tower. I made it up the tower.
Well, wait a minute.
But it really is cool.
Is an hour a long time? Because I think it would take me probably that long to get out there.
It took me about 25 minutes.
Wow.
And I can cut a couple minutes off that if the person who won it probably did it in about 15, somewhere in there.
I bet it was a kid too. It's always a kid that wins these things.
Yeah.
It's like some high school long distance runner.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's awesome. So next you're going to run the Great Wall of China from beginning to end. Is that? That's
right. We're going to go up and go over. What I really want to do, and this is not going over well at home. I turned 50 in February, and I've had an obsession with Lebanon since I was a kid. And I found there's a marathon in Beirut next November, and I've been in touch with the organizers, and they'll get a guide for me. And I think I'm going to go to Lebanon and run the Beirut Marathon for turning 50 next November.
Wow.
So
You need to start vlogging. You need to take a camera with you everywhere, strap it to you, and start vlogging. I think you'd do really well on YouTube.
if we do the Lebanon thing, I've already had a couple friends that were just like, you've got to do something with this, and so
Yeah,
I think whether I
document
want
it.
to or not, it's going to be documented.
It's going to be done. Okay. You don't have a say in it anymore.
That's right.
It's decided.
That's right. That's right.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you very much, Dave, for taking a minute and talking with us. So what would you say to people? What's the bottom line? Just go out and do it.
Go out and do it. I find it much more rewarding to be frustrated when trying to get somewhere than frustrated that I didn't try.
Yeah.
And either way, you're going to run into obstacles and pitfalls and find a reason if you choose to be unhappy with yourself. And so if you're going to be sitting at home thinking, what if, then you may as well do it. And sure, you may have some of the same levels of frustration, but at the end, you get the goal of actually getting there.
Yeah. I think that's a great tagline to go out on. Well, thank you very much, Dave, for taking some time to talk with us.
All right, you guys come over and see Sam at the Bluegrass Council of the Blind. He's got some really cool stuff.
Oh yeah, they're probably sick of me talking about it. I talk about it all the time.
He's got some great stuff. Come over and make him work.
Yeah, right. Maybe earn a paycheck.
That's all right.
Well, thank you very much, Dave. This is Sam and Dave with the Blind Spot. We will see you guys next time.